What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 451 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we'll be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, and anything else that's gone down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about. Who are we? Well, it's up for you to figure out. Yeah, how about it? I'm Chet Anderson. No, it's your host as always, Tony Mango, and as always, I got the usual suspects here. I've got Robert DeFelice.
Hey, hey.
And Stephen Wago.
Yo, yo.
And Barry.
What up, Barry?
Obviously, this is the normal setup of the hot tags. If you don't know what the hot tags are, it's just kind of a rundown of that kind of stuff. And we will talk about a variety of different topics here. And we invite you to do the same in the comments section below. So if you are listening to us on some kind of a thing like Stitcher or iTunes or Spotify or whatever that does not have a comment section, what you want to do is you want to hop on over to either the page on smarkoutmoment.com, set a tweet at smarkoutmoment, post something on the Facebook page, facebook.com/smarkoutmoment, or the best thing out of all those is to go to the YouTube channel. And while you're there and you're leaving a comment, you're telling us what you think about these other things, hit the like button on the video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already, and ring that little notification bell so that way whenever a video is posted and whenever we go live that you get some kind of an email alert so that way you can hop right on and join in the discussion as quickly as possible, especially because, when we're doing things live, then that's all that much better for you to be able to do that. So yeah, we have a couple of different things to talk about here. We also are going to do our rundown of the weekly TV shows of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Dynamite, and anything that is kind of tangential from those kind of topics as well, kind of lumped in here a little bit, as well as some other things on the network and blah, blah, blah. Not right quite blah, 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 or yada, 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 but there's some blahs in there. I want to talk about something that I think I'm the only one that watched, so I'm going to get this out of the way a little bit. The WWE Network Specials from this week, there were two. I think there was only two. There's only two that I noticed, at the very least. One of them was another episode of Undertaker: The Last Ride. This was called Tales from the Deadman.
Wait, I thought The Last Ride was dead. Like, it was done.
It was, and then this was one extra little bonus episode. And that one was not as good. It was a bonus episode in the sense that it was just sort of a couple topics that they hadn't touched on before that were like, here's a little story and some animations that went along with it. And the animations weren't all that bad, but I didn't really dig it. I liked the original thing because I was talking about some different topics that we hadn't really known before or whatever. And this one was sort of just like, I got this funny story about this. And it felt more like WWE story time than it did The Last Ride. So I'd actually say skip it.
That was basically the vibe I got from the previews. And it just seemed like, hey, wouldn't it be funny to have a graphic of The Undertaker as a judge in Wrestler's Court?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we have that.
Yeah, and like he did talk about how Xavier Woods gave him a gavel. And he referred to it as a gavel. So he is a gavel man. He's on Team Gavel, not Team Mallet.
Yeah, but he also thinks Blue Lives Matter, so...
I don't think this is the greatest episode of anything. I thought that it was fine for a background thing for a couple minutes or so, but it's not something that matches the caliber that the other ones were, so...
Okay, as somebody that got rid of the network because the only thing I wanted to finish up watching was The Last Ride, should I go back and watch this, or is it just completely skippable?
Skippable.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I'd also say skip the R-Truth game show, because this week there was Natalya and Drew McIntyre were the competitors. Last week it was Alexa Bliss and Sheamus, and that was the premiere episode, so this one was like, all right, let's see if they do something a little bit different, and they didn't. It was pretty much the same exact type of show, and the format itself is not like real bad. It's got some positives to it, but to be perfectly honest, Drew McIntyre and Natalya, they didn't really have a whole lot of personality on this. I'm not really shocked when it comes to Natalya because she's not like the most bombastic kind of person. She's not cutting promos like a crazy person or like has this weird oddball personality. So when it was like R-Truth kind of messing around with her, the funniest part of the whole thing was one of the questions he had given her was, Jim the Anvil Neidhart put on a mask and he wrestled as this character. So she's like, who? And he's like, I'm asking you, Natalya. And she's like, who? And he's like, they did the whole like who's on first type of thing. That was funny. But like, for the most part, it was him just being like, you've got cats. Cats are weird. And Natalya being like, yeah, this is two paws over and over again. And Drew McIntyre's thing, he really had no real personality either. Like, he mostly was just like, hey, it's funny. R-Truth is interviewing me with a game show thing. I think that's the answer. Ha ha ha. And it was just really like the most bland thing. So I'm gonna give it at least one more shot. I probably just watch all these because I tend to watch like almost every one of these types of specials, but I'm gonna at least give it one more chance. And if the next episode of the R-Truth game show is just as bland or worse, then I'll write it off as just like, nah, the show shouldn't exist. But I'd say skip this one too. Check it out if you want to. If you got the time and you want something in the background, you want to get a couple little laughs here and there, but don't go into it expecting to be like a laugh riot. At least it wasn't for me. I don't know, to each their own. So those were the network things for this week. I don't think I had missed anything else. If I did, drop a comment below. Tell me what you think about whatever it was, and I'll try to go back and check it out. But, I mean, NXT UK, nobody really knows what's happening with that. But that takes us into this other topic. WWE has trademarked NXT UK Heritage Cup, which I'm pretty sure would lean towards a tournament. I mean, if it wasn't, then I don't know why they would call it the Heritage Cup. But I don't know how they plan on doing this. They haven't had anything lately. And if they just trademarked this recently, I wonder what their plans are. Like, are they going to start NXT UK and try to just kind of kickstart it with a tournament? Or is this leading towards, when was NXT UK TakeOver, the next one? They had moved the Dublin one to October, I think. Yeah. So, like, are they going to have this try to drag on from, like, August, September, October? Or...
It either sounds like they're kickstarting something or having a grand finale.
Yeah, WWE doesn't do grand finales.
Yeah, you got a good point. They tend to like fade into obscurity and have a crash landing. So they're probably just kickstarting something, gonna have a big tournament, and I'm not gonna lie, I love tournaments. It's what the NXT UK brand was initially based on. It's a smart way to restart everything.
And having some kind of random blah blah cup, it's pretty easy to do, relatively speaking, because you have somebody win something. They don't need to be a champion. They don't need to carry that going forward anymore. It's just a little thing to say that they won. And, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal Trophy or the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal Trophy, they still should just call that the China Memorial. Come on, guys. But, like, you win that, or you win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic or Cruiserweight Classic without the title in the mix or something like that, then you could just be like, hey, I won the whatever cup, and aren't I great? It's kind of like the King of the Ring thing without needing to be a king gimmick afterward.
And you always get to do a cool segment where the trophy gets broken.
You can do that. You could do the whole like celebration with the people that won the trophy, like the Mae Young Classic type thing. It's a good way to put somebody over. So I'm 100% down for that if they can actually do it, which at this point, how many people are on the roster and how do you film it? But hey, maybe it's not something that they're planning on doing for another month or two, or maybe they have the regulations in place to start doing something like that. If they do a tournament that's like just kind of everybody that's on the roster and whatever happens type thing, anybody stand out to you guys that you would like to see potentially win? Of course, we have no idea what this means, if it like leads to a title shot, if so on and so forth, but just in theory.
Dave Mastiff.
I wouldn't mind seeing Tyler Bate get a second tournament win. I always felt like he got devalued immensely after losing the title to Pete.
Pete Dunne really overshadowed him. Tyler Bate wins, and they're like, "Wow, this is great. We're gonna make this guy the inaugural champion," and then the next one's gonna hold it for like 2 straight years or something.
Tyler Bate is great, but I don't know if they want to go back to the drawing board with the same people who mostly carried that brand to begin with. I think you put it on somebody like Eddie Dennis or Dave Mastiff, and you got a new star to work with.
I mean, if they're not going to call him Massive Dave Mastiff, they might as well not bother.
Well, this is the start of that. It's going to be a massive cup, okay? It's going to be Massive Dave Mastiff.
That'd be great if it was called the NXT UK Massive Cup, and then it's just Massive Dave Mastiff from then on. I think if they want to try to do something with like Dragunov, for instance, they could have like it's weird how they're going to approach this because eventually when NXT UK does come back on TV, they're going to have to address the fact that they've been gone for months. And they're going to say, well, last time this happened, we had these number one contenders and these champions who, like, think about like Walter or Kaylee Ray or Gallus, like who the people that are holding these titles, they're just sort of like, yeah, we're having a long ass title reign because we're not doing anything with it. And it's kind of going to be strange if they just say, yeah, Piper Niven's going to fight Kaylee Ray. And Dragunov, he won a number one contenders match in February. And let's just carry that over. So maybe they incorporate this into the mix. Maybe the winner ends up getting a title shot, and that's what they do with Dragunov. But if not, I'd like to see it go to Ridge Holland. He's somebody who is just, he's big enough, and there's something interesting about him that I'm like, I could see them pushing this dude. He might be the guy that beats Walter if it's not for Dragunov or, you know, somebody else gets brought into the mix down the line, or they don't just decide randomly, like Cesaro's now a part of it or something like that, like whatever it might be. I'd be cool with Noam Dar winning. I'd be cool with Tyler Bate. There's a lot of people I wouldn't want to see win, not a whole lot of people that I would. So I guess those are mostly the people that I'm interested in. I really would rather them not be like, this is a thing to push a kid or Lewis Howley or something kind of random like that. But we know nothing about it at all. And of course, when we know more about it, then we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics and all that. But at least right now it's a trademark, so it's something that they're interested in doing. And I don't dislike the name of it, but it'll also depend on what they want to kind of build around. The Heritage Cup seems a little like old-timey and, I don't know, a little hokey. But then again, doesn't have to be.
I don't dislike the name. I've seen like heritage titles done in the NWA at times, and the thing is, with the whole WWE NXT UK brand, it's felt a little more old timey than some of WWE's other stuff, especially when they go to that one arena and they've got the really cool ceiling.
It's so jarring though if it's like old timey, and then you get the intro and it's like kind of thing, and it's the way that song goes does not feel old timey in the slightest bit. Well, we'll see, of course, what happens when that happens.
Well, like Sean and Hunter had said prior to the pandemic that they were getting ready for another tournament. They had mentioned that it was for the women, though. So maybe this is going to be a UK tournament for the women. Who knows? That would be kind of fun.
I don't know how they would pull that off because there's like 6 women in that thing. But if we're talking about not a tag, if we're talking about a tournament for women's division and not having a whole lot of people, that's a good transition to talk about this, because AEW is going to have a women's tag team tournament called the Deadly Draw, and it is supposed to incorporate 8 teams, so 16 women. 2 have been confirmed, so 1 team. It's the Nightmare Sisters, Allie and Brandy Rhodes. So we need to fill 7 more teams.
Mm-hmm.
We need 14 more women.
I'm looking at their roster, and they barely have 20 women. They have 19.
Here's the thing. They don't even have them because Awesome Kong is injured. Britt Baker is injured. Rebel's not really a wrestler. She hasn't wrestled a single time as far as I know. If she has, then it's been lost on me. I've totally forgot about it. I think Anna Jay might be injured or staying away during COVID. Emi Sakura can't travel. Yuka Sakazaki hasn't been there in a while. Riho hasn't been there in a while. Chris Statlander is injured. Vicky Guerrero is not a wrestler. Sadie Gibbs hasn't been there in a while, and Shanna hasn't been there in a while. So they really only have, is it Abaddon or Abaddon, or how do you pronounce her name? Abaddon.
That's the name of my cat.
Abaddon. Abaddon is there. There's maybe Anna Jay, Big Swole, Hikaru Shida, Leva Bates, Mel, maybe, Nyla Rose, and Penelope Ford. That's 8 women. And you could incorporate the ones from Dark, but I mean,
you know that's what they're gonna do.
They have to at this point. Like, there's not a whole lot of options. So we're
but
gonna
they're
get like
super into
Kylan
right
King
now.
and
But they're super into like, oh, we're giving people from the independents a chance, and like they got Warhorse, doing a thing. And I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I also hate that they're like, we're gonna call it the Deadly Draw because WCW had the Lethal Lottery and Cody's got a boner for it.
there is so many different gambling things in AEW. I don't understand it. Like the Casino Ladder match, the Casino Royale Battle, the Casino Battle Royale. Okay, that's fine. But the Casino Ladder match, and then there's Double or Nothing, and there's the Deadly Draw now, and there was like 2 other things or something like that. I forget exactly what it was, but like they're just very much like, okay, let's just go down a list of like poker terms and stuff.
I'm not crazy about it. There's also no belt on the line here. There's no incentive for the winner. It's just a showcase for the women because people are bitching on the internet that they don't have enough women's matches.
I'm actually happy that there isn't a belt on the line because imagine them trying to hold a tag team division. They've barely established their women's because when they started making Rio was the first champion, right?
Yeah, Rio.
Yeah, it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and it's not that Rio's a bad wrestler. She's just not made for America. There's certain talents that do better in different environments, and she kicks ass when she's doing her own style of wrestling. And as for the rest of the roster, they haven't really stepped up.
No, there's been some people that I've been impressed by. Like, I've pretty much always liked Penelope Ford.
I like Hikaru Shida, to be quite honest.
Shida's good, and Nyla Rose is like at least a presence. I'm not a big fan of Nyla Rose as far as just like pure in-ring work, but like she's got character, so that's something that's good. And you've got Leva Bates, who's got character, but I'm not a big fan of either. Statlander's okay, like she's done some stuff, but she's injured, so she can't be a part of this anyway. So it's sort of like, all right, Diamante and Evilise and MJ Jenkins and Rochelle Chanel and Skylar Moore and Kenzie Page and all these people that have just been on Dark. It's going to be like, okay, so
they're gonna have like MJ Jenkins, and they're gonna get whoever they can that's been released. Maybe they snag Tessa, and Tessa's somebody's like secret partner or something.
I could see Tainara being in there.
Oh god, yeah, that's happening.
Is Tenille available?
I do believe she's available.
So they'll probably bring her in then if she is able to and all that. But it's like, for instance, I'm not going to, not to point out somebody, but like I don't even remember this person at all. And this is in February. Cassandra Golden. I have no idea who Cassandra Golden is. I think she wrestled 1 match on Dark in February, but I wrote the name down because I'm like, well, there's only like 20 people that have ever competed in this women's division. Even going back to the 21-woman Casino Battle Royale, we had like Nicole Savoy and ODB.
She should be signed.
If they don't sign some of these people and they don't treat them like they're a bigger deal, and it's just people that are on Dark losing, who's going to care about a tournament of like
losers?
I don't know.
If they're all losing on Dark and then you just throw them in a tournament, it feels forced.
Right, like this Kylan King. They're really into Kylan King lately. And I don't really like think that she's like some major standout. I don't think that she's bad either. It's just that she's another person because she's on Dark and she just loses all her matches.
I hope they pick up the beautiful people for this because that's the only like real tag team I can think of. Like, that's not
Velvet Sky is pretty much retired. Angelina Love is with Ring of Honor.
What's
but do Ring of Honor have real contracts at this point?
Yes, surprisingly they do.
What about the other one, the Madison Rain?
She's with Impact.
Oh, she is?
Yeah, she's both. First of all, she's married to Josh Matthews, and she's been doing a lot of the commentary since the pandemic.
I always forget she's married to the fucking Josh Matthews. Imagine being married to Josh Matthews. That'd be terrible.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they can get away with like if they try. Here's the thing with this is
whoa. That is my line.
That's your line. This is what it boils down to. Like, yeah, there's some people with some personality, like Rochelle Chanel. She's been doing some stuff on Dark, and she seems like she's kind of neat. And Red Velvet, she popped up and she's got a good look to her. And somebody like, I don't know, Miranda Elise, who was in February, Miranda Salinas, I think was what her name was in the Mae Young Classic or something like that. Like, yeah, maybe if you want to try to bring her in, maybe Eva Elise and Diamante and whatever. If you want to use the people that are in dark, you need to use them beyond dark, and you need to not use them as somebody to just feed to somebody else. Because if you have your Skylar Moores and your Kenzie Pages and whatever, and all they're doing is losing to Big Swole and Nyla Rose or whatever, then what's the point of a tournament of a bunch of losers in that way? Unless the whole point of the tournament is literally just Brandy and Allie and then maybe one other tag team beat everybody and get to the finals. And then that's a pointless tournament. But like, even if they had the people, who teams up with who? Do they do this as the whole...
It's a deadly draw,
well,
Johnny.
That's the flaw with this whole thing is, if you want to try to make the decision of you're going to make teams that make sense, I can't picture any teams making sense. Like Big Swole and Leva Bates, no. Mel and Penelope Ford, no, it doesn't work. Nyla Rose and Britt Baker, no, that wouldn't work anyway, even if Baker was able to wrestle. But if you want to try to say the whole point of it is, oh, I picked this person and that's my tag team partner and I don't know if we can get along, why are the Nightmare Sisters allowed to tag together? You already announced one team that's actually a team.
Because
that defeats the purpose. It's so dumb. Like, I'm like, they need to clarify what this is to prove to me at this point that it's not a bad idea. Because right now it's looking like an awful idea in so many ways.
I'm hesitant to say this, but it's what I think the situation is. So I'm just gonna say it. They're doing this because, again, people have complained about there not being enough women's matches on Dynamite, and we don't care if it's bad, because if you think it's bad, well, then clearly you must have something against women's wrestling. So fuck you.
I really hope that that's not their mentality.
That's what this is going to be, because when did they ever think or like reference, hey, look, women's tag teams are a thing? They randomly started putting Brandy and Allie together on Dark because Allie's doing this thing where she's flirting with QT Marshall and messing up his headspace in the tag team with Dustin, and QT's got COVID. So how do we make up for that?
Yeah.
We'll put Brandy and Allie together. This is a mess, but like, I'm willing to see it, play it through, and let's see if anything good comes out of it.
If they announce the teams and it seems like the teams make sense, I'll give them the credit and go, okay, maybe there's a plan that they just didn't announce ahead of time. But if they're just sort of like, this is happening and here's some random stuff and just watch it for the next few weeks, then nah. What were you going to say, Wago?
I forgot.
I'll throw this pitch out there. Nyla and Vicky win the whole thing because Nyla just dominates everybody and Vicky comes in for every pin.
I actually had that down in my notes, and something that I was writing on the side. I thought they could do that, Nyla and Vicky together, and Vicky doesn't do anything at all. I also thought that they could do Britt Baker and Rebel, where Baker is off on the side and Rebel loses in the first round, and Baker is mad at Rebel as a means to be like, ha, that's funny. Which it's not going to be that funny, but, that they might do that just to eat up one of the spots. And then the rest could be like Ford and Rochelle Chanel together and Big Swole and I don't know. Are there any Big Swole and Hikaru Shida maybe? I don't know. But like, yeah, it's not looking like this is a great idea. And I saw a meme on a Simpsons thing that I thought was really funny, where it was that thing from The Simpsons where I got a blank on it right now. It was Marge is asking Homer something, and Homer just keeps repeating the same thing, and Marge is like that doesn't make any sense or something. And she eventually is just like, okay, whatever. And somebody replaced it where it was Tony Khan and Kenny Omega, and Tony Khan's like, hey, Kenny, you're in charge of the women's division. What do we do? And he's like, tag tournament? And he goes, well, we don't really have a whole lot of women. He goes, tag tournament? Okay, Kenny, tag tournament.
Well, if they can get the Joshi women back, They'd have some teams.
Yeah, but then you don't book a tournament without knowing that the travel restrictions are going to get lifted, you know? Because at least then you have Sakura, Riho, Sakazaki, and Shida. And maybe some other ones like Shoko Nakajima. Maybe
Yeah, maybe we get Aja Kong back. Where
maybe
is
Aja
Aja Kong?
Kong. What has she been up to? Because she had
Nope.
the whole thing with Awesome Kong, and then they were like, "Oh man, this is not going to happen." You know, like
I think what happened is Kong or Awesome Kong can't wrestle, so like everything she was going to do got dropped.
shout out to Welfare Queen on Glow. When does Glow come back?
Hopefully soon.
Man, good show. It's gonna be the
Bring
last
in the
season.
women from Glow. They can do the fucking tag team tournament.
Just get Zoya the Destroyer and Liberty Bell.
Well,
Lacey
local-
Evans is so Liberty Bell. It's ridiculous.
As far as the tournament goes, I'll summarize it this way: my expectations are incredibly low; they can only go up.
Really quickly, I'm going to toss out a plug here for just, you know, because we're talking about Glow and it got me thinking about it. If you want us to talk more about Glow and you want to have more discussions of anything like that on TV shows, movies, video games, comic books, etc., 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 check out fanboysanonymous.com. And the way to make sure that we do something like maybe some kind of whenever Glow comes out, maybe we do like a season recap or something like that, then donate to the Patreon, because the Patreon for both Smark Out Moment and for Fanboys Anonymous both have tiers called Pick Your Poison. And if you donate to that tier, then you can request some kind of a special feature of some sort. You know, it's a podcast, maybe it's an editorial on the website, whatever it might be. If you've got something in mind you want us to do and you donate, that's the whole purpose. You get to say, why don't you guys do this? And we'll go, all right. Or we might tweak it a little bit or something, depending on what it is. But even if you can't do that, if you donate $1, it goes a long way. And it's all very, very awesome. And you're an awesome person for doing it. $10 and up gives you access to the Patreon exclusive episodes. We've had quite a bit already going on here for Smark Out Moment. We've got some more coming your way. One of them is, even though we just did 2 of them, one of them was just a regular Darkcast, and one of them was another episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast reviewing Vengeance 2002. We also have another one coming up tomorrow, or today, if you're listening to this day. But we are going to review the 2020 Sexiest Superstars Tournament as a Darkcast on the Patreon. So if you want to know who won the men's and the women's brackets, and, well, I mean, technically speaking, I'm going to post up the thing and you're going to see who won. But if you want to know our opinions about that at the very least, you will find that only on the Patreon. Boo, I know. But hey, the YouTube channel does not let us really do that kind of stuff anymore. So that's where you're going to find that. It's $10 and up, gives you access to that. So stay tuned for that. And just show some more love to Fanboys Anonymous. And what the hell, I'll toss this plug and get that out of the way. If you want to help out on the monetary side of things in a different way, and you got the spare change to buy something from the merchandise shops, check them out on Redbubble and TeePublic. There are 3 shops apiece on those: A Mango Tees, Smark Out Moment, and Fanboys Anonymous. So go browse the t-shirts and stickers and coffee mugs and all the other different merchandise options and different designs and different products. Okay, let's talk about the Pat McAfee show. Adam Cole was a special guest on that, and they did this whole thing where Cole was running into a whole, like, McAfee's making fun of him, calling him short, saying that he's not as good as Shawn Michaels, so on and so forth. And Adam Cole flips out, says, you know, fuck you, pal, and not your buddy and not your guy and all that kind of stuff. And flips out, and it's completely a work. I don't know why everybody's going nuts over this.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many people are bored into it. It's clearly a work, I guess, because he said the word fuck. People are like, "Oh, it must be a work. It must be real because they're a PG company." It was a work. Apparently, these 2 guys have worked on NXT house shows together before. It was a good segment, but yeah, calm down, guys.
There are people literally on Twitter that are saying things like, that's out of line for Adam Cole, and I hope that he doesn't get too punished for this and all that. It's like, come on. Really?
Well, I'll be honest, I like the fact that in the day and age where everybody feels entitled to know everything beforehand, that they were able to actually work them. And all it took was the word fuck. But I will say it's the best you can do with Adam Cole for TakeOver.
Oh, you think this is going to lead to Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee?
Oh, they're totally gonna wrestle.
Huh. I didn't think it'd go that far. I thought that this was literally just like, wouldn't this be kind of fun? And that would be it.
If
I
Adam
don't
Cole
know.
doesn't go over, that will be fucking terrible.
I don't know if they would bother with this if it wasn't to do something, because he's gonna need something to do because he's not in the title picture anymore. And maybe this is like the final thing he can do before going to SummerSlam.
I could see them doing something where, like, it's McAfee versus Adam Cole, and the Undisputed Era, if Kyle O'Reilly's around, he's included in the mix too, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong at the very least, are ringside, and there's this whole thing where they're like messing around with stuff and whatever, and then people come to even the odds, and then it's kind of like Pat McAfee's got his band of people, and Undisputed Era have their thing, and then maybe there's some kind of thing where like everybody gets all involved and whatever, and Pat McAfee gets like a roll up win or something stupid like that. But if
Could
it
this
is a
lead to
match,
Mongo coming back?
Steve
Mongo's a
McMichael.
football player. Yeah, Mongo's a football player. That's about all I know about football.
I just feel Adam Cole shouldn't lose right after dropping the belt to Keith Lee.
Oh, ideally he still wins. Yeah, ideally he messes around with Pat McAfee and then he beats him up and then wins, and then that's the end of that kind of thing or whatever. But wouldn't it be kind of funny if it's like Pat McAfee and Sam Roberts and Peter Rosenberg against Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish?
Am I out of touch, or do people actually know who this fucking Pat guy is? Because I've never heard of him until this incident.
I am not a football fan, so to me, whenever anybody's just like, "Oh, did you hear about like I don't know, like Richard Smith or something?" and I'm like, "No," like, "Oh, this great basketball player. Oh, this amazing pitcher at the whatever team," and I'm like, I can't even name the teams, let alone tell you who the hell's playing all these different things. So I never heard of Pat McAfee until he popped up in WWE.
So he's an NXT color commentator, or I guess he just does the pre-shows. But I guess he was like a punter for one of the teams, because that was specifically the jab that Adam Cole threw at him. Was like, "Who the hell are you to talk? All you ever did was punt the ball." And I don't know. He's got a lot of charisma. I like him as a color commentator, but I have no interest in seeing this actually be a match.
Yeah, just like, but do people know who the fuck he is? Is this gonna draw eyes at all? Like, I've never heard of this guy. How famous is he?
Well, what the fuck is a draw now? They had Gronk at Mania.
Yeah, but people know who Gronk is. I've never heard of this guy. Gronk's pretty famous, at least in America.
I don't know.
I could probably name you like 10 football players in the history of football. Like, hey, Joe Namath. Like, all right, let's see. There's Joe Namath. Well, Pat McAfee,
Okay.
Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady,
All right.
Peyton Reed. All right, no, Peyton Reed's the director. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
There's another Manning.
There is.
Something Manning.
Very good.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Ricky Waters, for some reason, popped in my mind. I think he played for the Eagles.
I'm gonna assume that that's right. I don't even know.
Terrell Owens. Michael Vick.
Oh god damn, Tony. Yeah, I fucking know him.
Let's see.
Well, that's 10.
That's 10.
Maybe you have to dip into the ones that have wrestled. So
Dan Marino, Refrigerator Perry. Maybe I could name 20 if I thought about it, LT.
Yeah.
But like, we're talking decades worth of people, and it's like,
we're
shit.
talking football.
It's really sad if I said I could name 10 baseball players. I'd have to go Mattingly, Canseco, Ken Griffey, frozen with his swollen head and everything. Ozzy and the straw. Now I got that in my head.
We're talking home. God.
I just want to watch The Simpsons. Real quick shout out. Speaking of that, I don't know why I'm going to go with this side track, but I've been watching The Office for the first time. I'm just about almost the end of season 5. I've been enjoying that a lot. It's a great show. So, yeah, I don't know. Fanboys Anonymous talk.
Hell yeah. I mean, donate to that Patreon, guys.
Thinking about doing something like afterward to being like, hey, here's a guy who just binge watched it over quarantine. These are my thoughts or something like that. Maybe I will. Anyway, let's talk other TV stuff. Let's talk about the other things that happened over the course of these different episodes of Raw and SmackDown and so on and so forth. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. The big talk is going to be NXT related, so we'll wait on that one. Let's go in not consequential, consecutive order here. Inconsequential order. Main event, no. Monday Night Raw, we had Seth Rollins trying to explain why he did what he did at Extreme Rules and why he threw up and all this other kind of stuff. Seems like the tag team name that they're going with for what's now just back to being Rollins and Murphy, I guess, is that they're calling that stable the Greater Good, which it's not bad. It's been better, but at least it's a name. So that's something. And Rollins beat Aleister Black by pinfall. They took out Aleister Black's arm, so they're just literally rehashing absolutely everything that they've been doing for like 2 months. I couldn't care less. What do you guys feel about that? Anything new?
They got a real kick out of the what is it? The globe fluctuation or whatever it's called.
Globalization, I think.
No, definitely not that. But it's something to that effect, and they got a real kick out of using a medical term. Vince probably felt like, it makes us sound smart. I don't know. I hated the eye for an eye thing, and this was a stupid follow-up.
The TNA Global Championship.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I wish they'd do more with Aleister Black.
We had Ron Simmons backstage to just kind of talk to Bobby Lashley and MVP while they were cutting to a commercial. It's kind of strange. There's rumors that there's, and this rumor pops up all the time, so I don't believe in it whatsoever, but Dirt Sheets are reporting this week. That's because they're going to do another Nation of Domination. Why would they do that? They just set up that they're the Hurt Business. And just because they're black, they're going to do that? Like, come on, people. Like, what the hell? I don't think it's leading anywhere.
I don't know if that'd even be smart to do in the current climate.
They have to be like Hulk Hogan level babyface.
It would be a horrible idea to do right now. Like, it would be a bad idea to do in general, just to be like, well, it's a group of black guys, so they have to be Nation of Domination. The way that, like, a lot of people thought that was going to be the case with the New Day. It's like, no, be something different. You don't have to just do that again, you know?
Well, to be fair, Woods has openly said that his idea for the New Day was a take on the Nation, but they spun it a different way, and I think it led to even greater success. And with this, it doesn't have to be like that, and I would actually advise, especially in the current climate, that you don't go, well, we don't get opportunities, but like those two guys, MVP and Lashley, could pull it off a lot better than the New Day, I think.
Yeah, the New Day is much better as, like, fun. But MVP and Benjamin and, well, now Shelton Benjamin's in the mix, and Lashley, I think that they're doing great as they are. Like, I don't need to have them change their gimmick around and have an endorsement from Ron Simmons and Mark Henry or anything like that. Like, just keep doing what they're doing, you know? And by the way, Shelton Benjamin, he beat R-Truth to win the 24/7 championship, which I think is pretty cool, because now that means you've got the fake United States champion, you got the 24/7 champion. Shelton Benjamin's got a title. It's not really a meaningful title, but he's doing something. And apparently he broke some kind of like 14-year losing streak or something on Raw by winning that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he had never won a singles match on Raw since something like 2002 or some kind of crazy thing, or I forget exactly what it was. But there was something about that, which is just like, yeah, any singles match that he's won has been on SmackDown, and any other match that he's won has been a tag team match.
Are you telling me he hasn't won? It can't be like since 2004 when he beat Triple H.
Well, you figure he was a part of SmackDown for however long he was a part of that brand. he was a part of ECW for however long he was a part of that brand, and that he was out of the company for however many years.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. But I like that. And we got the return of Mustafa Ali. He teamed up with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander to beat the Hurt Business, so Shelton Benjamin didn't get that that second pinfall win afterward. Mustafa Ali's gone from SmackDown to Raw to SmackDown to Raw over the course of this pandemic.
And I guess they're just dropping the hacker thing, which sucks because it was actually one of the things that I was looking forward to.
Yeah, that's just gone entirely. It's that typical thing where here's an idea. What do we do with it? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Then it's like, well, are you going to figure it out? Yeah, I figure we'll just drop it. Let's see. We had some stuff with Orton. We've got Christian talking about some stuff. Nothing really all that great.
Did he do we have any idea where he's going?
What, Orton?
Christian.
I don't
Does
know,
it seem like Christian's gonna wrestle again?
They kind of treated it as if he wouldn't, but the fact that they brought him back to talk about it makes me kind of think that maybe they do have a plan to have Christian versus Orton at SummerSlam.
Speaking of which, did you hear the Meltzer reported this in the Observer today, but they have Edge and Orton in an I Quit match penciled in for Mania, and wow, that's a long way away.
Is Edge that fucked up right now?
No, but I think he'll be back by Rumble, and I do think he wins the Rumble and Orton's the champion.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but goddamn, I didn't expect him to stretch the feud out that long.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing with it. It's
kind of adds more legitimacy to the fact that we might get a Christian match to fill that out. Because I don't know how they're not exactly good at telling a long story.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they had planned to do the Orton Edge thing as long as that. I think that they were pretty much expecting to do one match in between SummerSlam and WrestleMania, and then that would be it. And of course he gets injured, so maybe they're just kind of like, well, let's just wait and do it at WrestleMania, and we'll just kind of carry that on and whatever. But
so supposedly it was supposed to be that the I Quit match would be the rubber match, and then out of SummerSlam, and then they would move on. But obviously, Edge got injured, so now we're waiting another year.
And we got Ruby Riott beating Peyton Royce, which that's the first match that Ruby Riott's won in however long.
Since November.
And we got Street Profits against Andrade and Angel Garza. The champions beat Garza and Andrade in a non-title match by pinfall, which kind of seems a little bit strange because that's sort of like, well, let's just write them off, even if it's a non-title match. It should have just been for the title.
They just announced for Monday Ricochet and Alexander versus Andrade and Garza. The winners will get a tag title shot.
My God, I hate this that WWE's doing this crap lately.
I always hate when a tag team has a non-title match when they're the champions. I don't think they should be it's unless they're against a pair of guys that aren't typically teaming. It just feels like a wasted opportunity. Because I like Andrade and Angel. I think they work well together.
Non-title matches in general are just not good to me. Because that it's either going to be that the champion beats the other person, which means why wasn't it just for the title? Or the champion loses because it's non-title, and then that way they could say, well, they beat the champions, and now they're the number one contender. It's really only two ways to do it. One of them's pointless, and the other one is pointless because that that's where it's going to lead. There's never it's a non-title match because there's, except for instance, champion versus champion at Survivor Series. Yeah, of course that's non-title because it's just bragging rights. That's fine. But when it's just so-and-so is going to fight the champion, and then they pin the champion, and then they get the title match, and then they do the rematch, and then it ends up being that the champion retains. Okay, so you wanted to drag it out for 3 weeks. That's it. And now with this whole thing, it's Andrade and Garza lose, so now they have to win another match so that they can get another match, so they just wanted to have this match 6 times then. Just, God, it's so lazy these days. We'll talk about that on SmackDown too, but at least for this one, Bayley and Sasha Banks came out to the ring, blah, blah, blah. Kairi Sane beats Bayley. And if that was Kairi Sane's exit, that's pretty lame.
No, it's not. She's booked for more. She'll be
very least
ending
it should be.
soon, but she'll be booked for a few more Raws, or at least this next one coming up.
Well, the big revelation that comes out of this is if you were watching the Howard show at Extreme Rules and you saw the wait for it until Raw, like we'll build this up for however many weeks just so we could go, wait until Raw. Then it was Stephanie McMahon going, yeah, wait until next week's Raw. God damn. You still liking this Bailey and Sasha thing?
I think that the two of them have been more entertaining than anybody else during this pandemic. And I specifically think that it's because there's a lack of fans, because when there was an audience, this thing was floundering, and now it's the most fun that I have watching anything, because they're just being complete fucking dorks and not taking anything seriously.
Yeah, I forgot which week it was when Bailey was singing That's Not My Name on commentary, but I fucking love her. She's great.
Like tonight, Corey Graves was like, "Hey Bailey, you remember when you wanted to hit Alexa Bliss with a kendo stick and didn't?" And she just stopped and goes, "Hey Graves, I'm gonna hit you with a kendo stick now." And it was just like, it's just fucking stupid. But they know it's stupid, so I'm good with it.
I'm legit not joking here. I had more entertainment value out of the fact that on 205 Live tonight, Oni Lorcan, Mansoor, and Danny Burch came out. You know how Oni Lorcan puts up his one finger and Danny Burch puts up his two fingers?
Please tell me Mansoor put up
Mansoor put up 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best thing that's happened this whole night, including all of SmackDown.
This is wrestling.
Yeah. It's like I tweeted it out. Like it's just like, I had more fun with that than I should have. It was just 1 and the other one's 2, and then Mansoor's like, all right, 3, and it's like, oh, look at that. And I'm like, they held up fingers, and I was like, oh god, that's so much better than this freaking Bailey and Sasha Banks stuff. Awful.
No, we'll get to awful when we talk about SmackDown.
A lot of other things too, yeah. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, they're going to have another match because Ziggler was like, hey, I want another match. And McIntyre's like, all right. And this time around, McIntyre gets to pick the stipulation. And in typical WWE, wait for it, stall, stretch as much as you possibly can fashion, it is the we'll wait for it until it happens type of thing. So it makes sense in some ways, but it is kind of one of those things where it's like, let's do the match. Let's spend a couple weeks leading up to a match. Then when we do the match, let's talk about the match 1 week. And then the next week after that, we'll have another match where they get 8 weeks out of having one thing. I would love it if that would apply to like a lot of other types of jobs, like if you're filling up not that this is a job. I don't know if it's somebody's job or like that, but like I got a water bottle next to me and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of thirsty. I got to fill this up a little bit later. If I filled that up and it ended up filling 8 at the same time, that'd be amazing. Or if you were like, I got to, load boxes for my job and every one box that I do, it's an entire shelf. That'd be a lot easier. So when WWE goes, I don't know, Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre, and then they go, good, that's a month and a half's worth of booking right there. So he's just going, those. We'll get to that a little bit later when we talk to SmackDown too. And how you guys feeling about the whole idea of the rematch thing?
I like it because clearly what they're doing is they're trying to get people to tune into their television show because the ratings have been so down, because they've announced at least 4 championship matches for next week. And it's clear that they're just trying to get people to watch the TV again. And listen, McIntyre and Ziggler could have like a 2 out of 3 falls match or an Iron Man match and make it entertaining and kill a bunch of time, because that's another trope that they're really doing these days. Or let's just have these random people fight for 30 minutes because we've got to kill time. So I think this is a good way to do that.
You're not just expecting him to do the I can use the Extreme Rules and you can't same exact thing?
Nope. I'm expecting him to do something that's based on like 2 or 3 falls are like, oh, this is going to be based on pure wrestling because I want to prove that I can out wrestle you, or because he's a babyface. He can't just be like, I'm going to fuck you up because you're an asshole. He can't do that.
Then he comes out and he goes, "The following contest will be a I'm gonna fuck you up match." The rules of this match is I get to fuck you up. You can't do anything. Obviously, McIntyre retains. We'll talk about that next week when it happens. But the last thing on Raw was that Randy Orton beat the Big Show in their unsanctioned match, and punted him in the head. Took care of that. That's one thing down.
Yep.
That's it. Just yep.
Yeah. Well, what can you say about this? It's the fucking Big Show. Why is he?
It's
on
2020
TV
and we're
again?
still watching him. What the fuck is going on? Didn't he retire against Braun Strowman? Why is he back?
Pandemic.
Because Big Show. He's got to build more stories to do for the next season, I guess.
Honestly, when they did the McIntyre match the night after Mania, I thought Big Show was going to win that title just to promote the reality show or the Netflix show.
Yeah, I was worried about that too.
I wasn't worried about it. I just felt the match was awkward and cringy.
I was legit like nail biting, just like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. They're really not going to have that happen.
We were talking to each other and it was just like, oh my God, they're going to do this. This is awful.
Well, let's skip over NXT. Let's talk about SmackDown, because SmackDown's SmackDown. They started the show with the Golden Role Models. I'm not a fan. All this other kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. Same old stuff. I can break down every single week. But if you haven't gotten sick and tired of Nikki Cross versus Bayley or Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks, all those four against each other for the 20 plus, 30 plus different times they've done it over the past year, guess what? They're doing it again. Because their whole idea was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross against each other. The winner fights Bayley again next week. And Nikki Cross won. So this is going to be their 19th match against each other the past year.
But for the first time ever.
Damn. Is that all just singles competition or?
Yep.
Any competition of Bayley against Nikki Cross. Not tagging with her, and not necessarily not a tag team match. I think that I had counted the tag team matches in there too, but I mean, it's you're still seeing the same thing. But that doesn't include Bayley versus Alexa, or Alexa versus Sasha, or Nikki versus Sasha. So there's been well over 20 matches of just these four together. But there's been this will be the 19th one of specifically where Bayley and Nikki Cross are against each other in some fashion. 19 since
I don't know.
Kill.
I don't know. Hashtag Alexa deserves more.
Yeah. I got some people going, oh, Alexa's going to turn on Nikki next week and whatever. It's like, well, I honestly don't care about that either. If the whole idea is we do this for 8 months just to have Alexa versus Nikki, and you split that tag team up and you have that match before you do the Sasha and Bayley thing, then I'm going to get off my soapbox a little bit about it because I talk about it every week, but it's still just blah.
At this point, I would rather them stall on the Sasha and Bayley thing and just go ahead and, since you've acknowledged it on TV at this point, just, fast book Naomi beating Bayley. Just go ahead and do it.
I've been saying for the longest time that if they didn't just do the Bayley and Banks thing to just get the title off of Bayley, because I don't care. Like, that's the one and only thing that's possibly been interesting. And it's been something that has been like, maybe since October of 2018. That's how long they've been teasing this feud. Maybe even before that, actually. But I know I tracked it back down to October of 2018. It's insane.
It is.
So we're getting Nikki Cross versus Bayley again next week. And, of course, we're getting another Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman match. We got the Firefly Funhouse this week, which was just another, hey, we did the match on Sunday. Let's do a promo about how in the future we'll do more. So a lot of things this week where this is what happened.
Hey, tune in next week.
Tune in next week. Yeah, this was a really bad week when it came to that. Matt Riddle beat Tony Nese. King Corbin came out and said, hey, fuck you, pal. And Riddle was like, no, fuck you, pal. So that's the thing. Naomi was on Miss TV because Naomi deserves better according to Twitter. So WWE's response was to have her on Miss TV saying, "You were trending about this thing about how we don't do anything with you."
Yeah.
And Naomi going, "Yeah." And Lacey Evans going, "Yeah, but we're feuding."
Hold on. No, I'm sorry. This hashtag grew from a throwaway match on last week's SmackDown, and they thought, okay, we're gonna get ahead of this one by acknowledging it, because maybe if we acknowledge it, it'll go away. So they had Naomi come out and half cut a decent promo about, hell yeah, my fans are always with me because I stay putting in my best work no matter what. And then she throws out the line of, and they want to know why Lacey Evans attacked me over a karaoke contest. And I went, oh, fuck. Like, you just couldn't. You're going to do what you want to do. And at this point, honestly, I don't blame WWE because they can't retcon everything on the fly. But you're going to do what you want to do. But to make Naomi really seem upset about this, you attacked me, Lacey Evans, I think it's just going to make the whole Twitter thing worse. Because you kind of made fun of the fact that, you're not doing anything with Naomi.
The Naomi deserves better thing wasn't Naomi deserves better than to be attacked by Lacey Evans. It's Naomi deserves better. Try writing some decent stuff for her to do and get her a better feud and that kind of thing. And the pivot of that is funny that they would just be like, she does deserve better than to be treated like that. Oh, boo, Lacey Evans. It's very tone deaf. Kofi Kingston says he's going to be out for 6 weeks or so it's Big E's time now that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are injured to, hey, now that you don't have tag team partners, you should be a singles guy.
They're totally going to pivot into Big E versus AJ Styles for that Intercontinental title.
I hope so. He deserves the Intercontinental title shot.
He damn sure does. Big E is great.
They should do that.
There's actually been like a big Twitter mob for him too to get a push the same way Naomi hasn't been recognized. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get a singles run because he is actually one of those few guys where you're like, yeah, he probably hasn't been given a fair shake.
I would like Big E to get another singles title. I'd really like to see Xavier Woods at some point get the Intercontinental title too. Of course, now he can't because he's still injured. But like, if they do Big E versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam, cool. I'm down with it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we know that we're gonna get Grand Metalik against AJ Styles.
What is this, Tony?
They had a fatal 4-way. It was Drew Gulak, Shorty G, Lince Dorado, and Grand Metalik against each other. So you actually had 2 of the Lucha House Party people against each other, and Grand Metalik won to get a title shot for next week, which, I mean, I had written out like, okay, fatal 4-way, this is whatever. And I wrote ahead of time just to go, I'll copy and paste it and that'll be a lot easier when I'm doing my results. Shorty G winning because I'm like, oh, Shorty G's going to win this one, right? Like he'll pin like Lince Dorado or something like that. And Grand Metalik gets to win and I'm like, all right, wow, I didn't see that coming. Metalik has absolutely no chance whatsoever to beat AJ Styles, but you know what? As odd as it is, I'm okay with it because then that means that Styles just beats somebody and that fills time.
I really hope Metalik wins. Just at this point, Tony, fuck everything. Let's just do whatever. It doesn't matter right now.
That's 2020.
Burn it all down to the ground.
2020 that's like the theme is everything sucks, and if it doesn't suck, it just doesn't matter.
Because like, why not? Hashtag Metalik deserves better. Like, fuck it. Do something.
Well, if you tweet that, then Metalik's going to start feuding with Lacey Evans. Come on.
Oh, clearly. Well, isn't AJ Styles the male equivalent of Lacey Evans?
Let's see. We had a reminder. Hey, Otis and Mandy are still a thing. They're going to be doing something next week since they haven't done anything for like 6 weeks.
That was totally a COVID. I don't know anything, but I'm sure that you kept both of them off TV, and it had to be because of COVID, because otherwise they would have been on every show.
Nakamura and Cesaro were just basically like, we slammed them through tables and won. It was fun slamming them through tables and
They're
winning.
saluting now. What the fuck is that?
A waste. That's what it is. And then we had a bar fight between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Apparently Jeff Hardy has powers now.
Well, they kind of half established that during the Well, no, they've never really established that during WWE. It's only been on the TNA ones, right?
Yep.
During the Matt Hardy segments.
Yeah,
Yep.
now he can just turn himself into the face painted version of himself on Will, I guess.
Okay.
This
It's
was
a good way to
fine.
sum it up. It's just okay.
It's better
This
than
was-
Willow, I guess.
That's what I thought they were going to go with.
Oh,
but
they're
they did
going to
not.
at some point. You know we're getting Jeff Hardy versus Bray Wyatt, and it's going to be Willow against the Fiend. There has to be.
I like the fact that they felt the need to bring up Matt Hardy, and that he said, "My brother needed to delete his WWE career, so I need to restore mine." Like, it's just one of those things of like, yeah, we're just gonna throw this out there that, hey, fuck you, Matt, you left us. But the match was fine. It was a bar fight. It was cinematic, and you
It's like
know,
it's like the one thing I actually went out of my way to see on SmackDown, and there was a few fun spots like him sticking his head in the toilet, and the Swanton was kind of cool, but it was just an average brawl.
hey, but right now, average is fantastic.
Yeah, it's true. I don't like these cinematic matches, and I don't like when they put the music track behind them. I think that takes a lot away from it. But
Oof, yeah, that's like the one thing that I stuck out to me as bad. Like if sometimes you can do it right. I think they did it right when they did TakeOver versus AJ, but yeah,
So we can all agree that the start of cinematic matches were great. They completely let that go to their heads. And now they're just doing whatever the fuck in a cinematic style. And it's not working.
well, we make movies, pal.
Well, goddamn right they do.
goddamn.
You know what this reminded me of in a way that is maybe it's another discussion for another fanboys type of thing or something like that. But it made me go and like think about this out of all the things. Instead of thinking of like these great feuds or these great bar fights that have ever happened, because like Cesaro and Sheamus had a bar fight, I think. And oh, by the way, I loved the whole like I am the bar, and Jeff Hardy's like I'm everything, I'm this and I'm that, and I'm the bar, and Sheamus is like no, I'm the bar. Like it's kind of like.
I like that they had like a pleasant conversation before Sheamus just took off his hat and he's like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to throw
Yeah,
down.
that was strange. But there was one point in this where I thought that they were going to try to say that there was something wrong with the alcohol because Sheamus was like all winded and he just drank like a beer and he started to act a little bit weird. And I'm like, oh, are they going to try to say that that's like poison and make like a statement out? Put it out there. I am not a drinker. I don't do any kind of drugs. I don't even drink soda. It's not any kind of like, oh, this is my religion or anything. I just literally have no interest in doing any of it. I don't see the point in drinking, whatever like that. If you want to drink, go for it, whatever. It's not my thing. But I was like, is this going to turn into like an anti-drinking kind of soapbox thing? And then that made me think, man, I'd rather be watching that cartoon All Stars to the Rescue show from the 90s, the whole thing with like Slimer and Winnie the Pooh and Bugs Bunny and all that. Is that something that's just my generation? Or is
I've
that
seen
something that, okay, good. Wago, I don't think that you would have seen it since you were in the UK. But do you know what I'm
Nah.
talking about by any chance?
Nah, that's very America.
So there's this thing that came out in like the late 80s or the early 90s. I'm not entirely sure, but it was called Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. And it was this like collaboration. I think it was McDonald's had done it as part of like this
Mhm.
big charity thing with George Bush or something. The
Ronald
George Bush Reagan was the one.
If it's no drugs, no drinking, it's Reagan.
Well, Bush had a lot of those things too, and Bush was the president around that time, so I'm not entirely sure. But it was this thing where it was like all these characters from these cartoons around that time that were all trying to tell this kid not to smoke weed. Where it had like Alvin and the Chipmunks and Alf and the Smurfs and Garfield and the Muppet Babies and the Ninja Turtles and Slimer from Ghostbusters and all this other kind of stuff. And I remember watching that like I don't know how many years in a row in school because it was just one of these like, hey, those are cartoon characters that kids like, and this is an anti-drug type of thing or something like that. And out of all the things, that's what I was thinking about during this bar fight because I was just like, what characters were in there? I think Alf was in there. And I was like, so watching Jeff Hardy and Sheamus fight each other, and I'm supposed to be thinking like, oh man, he hit him with a ladder. Oh, that's so cool that he turned into the face painted version. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, was Michelangelo in that? Yeah, Ninja Turtles were in that, right? Like, it's just kind of oddball thoughts for that. If you know what I'm talking about, anybody that's listening, drop a comment below. Tell me your favorite thoughts about Cartoon All Stars to the rescue.
See, I feel like there used to be a lot of that now. Like, there used to be a lot of that, dare stuff and all
Right.
that kind of thing. And now it's just like, hey kids, do you know what the medical benefits of cannabis? And it's just like completely different era.
Well, now it's the anti-smoking things that you see, where it's the
Oh, it's the vape, yeah. It's
the little lungs in a great big world, and the that one girl that complains about vaping and is like, if she says the word like every 3 seconds. Not a fan of that. But yeah.
I do love Little Lungs in a Great Big World just because it bothers you.
I fucking hate that so much. Between the little lungs thing and that stupid somewhere on the beach kind of thing, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about NXT. Let's go back to that one because this one's a pretty big, important topic that we're still going to wait to talk about because we're going to throw about some of the other things. Yeah, we'll do a WWE thing and be like, we're doing this next week. Now, Dexter Lumis beat Killian Dane by submission. I don't think we need to really talk about anything. Breezango beat Everrise, and Breezango came out as the Mountie, which I thought was fantastic and more entertaining than anything that Bayley and Sasha Banks have done as well. Shotzi Blackheart beat Aaliyah, and then Mercedes Martinez showed up and attacked Shotzi, and she has signed with the Robert Stone brand, so that's kind of neat.
What happened to Chelsea Green?
Just completely disappeared. I don't know.
She won a match with Charlotte Flair and was like, I'm on to bigger and better things. I don't need you anymore. And hasn't been seen in 2 months.
Yeah. Timothy Thatcher beat Oni Lorcan. Karrion Kross beat Dominik Dijakovic by the referee stoppage. And here's the big story. Keith Lee relinquished the NXT North American Championship, and his rationality was, I'm focusing on the NXT title, and I won't be able to defend this other title in the meantime. So I'm giving it up, and I want other people to have more opportunities. And of course, the underlying text is because that's the mid-card title and it doesn't matter as much, and we can't figure out a way to book somebody to do both singles titles. But I'm okay with it. And the follow-up announcement to that was that there is going to be another takeover instead of TakeOver Boston, which was originally supposed to happen before the SummerSlam event because it was supposed to happen in Boston. They're just doing it as NXT TakeOver 30. And it's happening the night before SummerSlam, just the same, August 22nd. But on that pay-per-view, there will be a fatal 5-way ladder match to determine the new champion. And over the course of the next few weeks, there's going to be a series of triple threat matches to determine who goes into those 5 spots. Bronson Reed.
Penny?
Bronson Reed beat Johnny Gargano and Roderick Strong. So, Rob, at the beginning of the year,
Reed. I have been singing the praises of Bronson Reed for about a year now, and I'm telling you, he's going to be the biggest thing ever. Bronson Reed is the next big thing in NXT.
When he won, I was like, you really? Okay, wow. Because I figured obviously Gargano's going to win, or at the very least, Strong's going to win. Definitely not Bronson Reed. And yeah, next week we got Timothy Thatcher against Finn Balor against Dexter Lumis. And we have no idea who the other people in contention are going to be. But that's where this topic goes into. What do you guys think about the North American title being vacated? What do you think about the ladder match? What do you think about the matches that could happen? Who's going to be in it? Who's going to win it?
Oh god.
So as far as vacating the championship goes, I think it's the best thing to do. I don't really like it when they do the dual champion thing. I always think back to Seth Rollins' run when he was the WWE champion, the US champion, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. As far as who they're going to make the next mid-card champion, I have no idea. I've not been watching NXT enough.
What about you, Robbie? Anybody in mind?
I don't like the last ladder match they did in front of no people. I thought it was really awkward, and it made the bumps seem that much more painful on NXT. I would have to assume Finn Balor's winning here. It just doesn't seem like they have anybody else, but I can't even tell you who I think would be in this match, because if we're assuming that the people who have already lost don't get a last chance opportunity, Gargano would have been great. Thatcher would have been great, but there's like nobody on the brand unless you're
Is
just like,
Pete done in England, or is he in America right now?
he's, as far as we know, he's still in England. That would be a good twist, but who knows? I really think what are you gonna do? Pull Babatunde out of your ass for this one? Like,
I mean, Babatunde is big.
he's big. He might not even need the ladder.
Shit, maybe go with Bronson Reed after all.
Bronson Reed is a big, thick boy, and he should win. But
how does he get his pecs to go all the way around?
It's the magic of Bronson Reed, man.
They do have some options if they want to use some people, because really, if you think about it, they only need 3 more people to be in the match. The rest of the people that are just fighting for contention, they could be anything. I mean, you really could theoretically be like, for instance, I figure Damian Priest is probably a guarantee.
Yeah.
And I figure Cameron Grimes, probably a really good shot. They might have like Killian Dane, they might have Kushida, they might have Jake Atlas, maybe. But like, in theory, if they were to have, say, like Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, and Dominik Dijakovic, maybe those are the 3 that qualify left, then you could just put like the other people in the matches are Killian Dane, Jake Atlas, Danny Burch, Raul Mendoza. Like, you could just throw people in there, and then it's just like Damian Priest beats 2 other people. But it's weird that they did like Loomis, Thatcher, Balor, Strong, Gargano, Reed, where it's like, that's a good group of people. Like, those 6 right there could have made up the 5, and that would have made sense. So they're going to knock out like Loomis or Thatcher or Balor this next week, when all 3 of them could very easily be in contention to fight for this title. Which kind of makes me think, if they do one more triple threat that includes Cameron Grimes, Damian Priest, and somebody like a Killian Dane, then they would have enough people that the 2 losers for the 3 matches would make up 2 more sets of 3. So they could do like, we're going to have 2 last chance things. These 3 that lost and these 3 that lost. They could do that. And then that way you get both Balor and Loomis, or Balor and Thatcher, and you get stronger Gargano in there, and that's how they get the other 2.
I'm pretty confident that whatever NXT does, they'll land on their feet, because they always tend to pull great things out of their ass. We don't know where Ciampa is right now. Maybe he just shows up randomly. Because he said, like, they're just not using me. I'm fine. They're just not using me right now. So, who knows?
And he's never won the North American title.
Nope.
So, maybe that'd be a good way to go. But I do kind of think that this is Finn Balor's to win. Of course, if he doesn't win
he's
this,
got to
then
do something, because he's managed to once again become irrelevant, and this time on NXT, so that's not great.
And he's been missing for a while. He, I guess, just decided not to really show up unless they had some definitive plans for him. And now that he is showing up, makes me kind of go, well, they're bringing him in. It kind of makes me assume that he's winning that. And then if he wins that, then he's probably going to win the ladder match. And that makes sense, because if you got Keith Lee as your champion and you've got Finn Balor as another champion, it's a draw. At least it's as much of a draw as they could get. So I'm expecting him to win that, but I guess we'll figure out over the next couple of weeks who's even fighting for the chance to get in the match. And then obviously once we get closer to SummerSlam weekend, we'll do our predictions for both TakeOver and SummerSlam. We'll talk about who's going to win then and all that stuff. But yeah, thumbs up for me as far as vacating the title. Keith Lee's better as the world champion, because that's the more important title.
I agree.
That might be all the hot tags. Let me just double check.
Well, you want to talk about Dynamite? You watch Dynamite?
That's right. Totally forgot that we didn't talk about Dynamite. Let's see. Let me bring up my Dynamite results.
Are you hating on AEW, Tony?
Well, clearly
I'm
going
to talk about Dynamite.
WWE mark, and I get paid from them.
You're just a shill.
Yeah, I work for WWE. That's why that's why Halloween Havoc hasn't happened yet. To why Liv Morgan gets
don't you know
buried.
that
Or
this year
yeah.
in September, not October, for some reason, Hell in a Cell is going to be replaced with the Halloween Havoc.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Eddie Kingston was the surprise challenger for the TNT Championship. That's kind of one of the main things to talk about.
Yeah.
can I just go ahead and say I fucking hate Eddie Kingston? God damn,
Expand on this, Fuego.
out of my he's easily one of my top 5 most fucking hated wrestlers. Every time, because I love the NWA Power Weekly show. My favorite piece of wrestling. It was great content. If anything was overly offensive, it was over in a minute. But then there was Eddie Kingston. So goddamn loud and obnoxious, and he was meant to be a babyface, and I have no idea what the fuck he was doing. It was like having a Karen. He was that loud and angry all the time.
Well, he was loud and angry on this too. Cody took a thumbtack power bomb. That's gotta suck.
Did. It does gotta suck. And then he beat him with the figure 4 that was kind of close to the thumbtacks. I don't know if they actually rolled in it or not.
Could you at least understand him in this promo? Because half the time I can't understand the shit that Eddie Kingston says.
He said he was going to gouge out Arn Anderson's eyes. I caught that.
Yeah, Arn had it coming.
Jeez.
Insert some kind of a joke about Sid.
I was about to say, finish what Sid started.
When Sid could answer the open challenge, that's what we need.
That'd be great. We need more Sid.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sid's got one of my favorite entrances. Just watching him fist bump people is the coolest shit. I want to see that again.
He's so happy to fist bump too. Let's see. MJF beat Griff Garrison, the guy that they keep saying is Jungle Boy because he looks so much like Jungle Boy but taller. I think that's funny. Britt Baker.
Spinning their wheels with MJF, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really just kind of like waiting to do stuff with him. I'm assuming that he either gets a title shot at All Out and they're just waiting to pull the trigger a little bit closer to it, or that they don't want him to have the match at All Out and they're trying to figure out what else to do in the meantime or something. Because they did allude to the idea that Brian Cage might get another title shot. And he and Ricky Starks beat up on Darby Allin a little bit. Darby Allin might have a concussion based off of that, so that's not great. Young Bucks beat the Butcher and the Blade in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Diamante.
It started in the kitchen.
Yeah. When they were actually literally using a
Butcher
cleaver and yeah.
It's great.
Let's see. Diamante beat Ivelisse. Dark Order had a whole thing where Hangman Adam Page beat 5 and they tried to recruit Page, and then FTR comes to the help and Kenny Omega comes out late and so on and so forth. Jericho and Hager beat Jurassic Express, and eventually Serpentico comes out. But look at that, it's Sammy Guevara inside, which Serpentico's girlfriend, who is somebody who's popped up on Dark a couple times, Skylar Moore, had tweeted out, "Have I been dating Sammy this whole time?" Which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, it was a fine episode. Again, spinning their wheels. A lot of, hey, next week we're live, so tune in next week. More tune in next week. Like, it's what a lot of This Week in Wrestling was. And I'm sure things will be fine. Like Cody versus Warhorse is going to be a thing next week. I don't fucking like Warhorse. I said it. I don't get it. It's stupid. It's more modern indie silliness that's just not cut out for national television. But I guess I'm Jim Cornette now because I said that. Yeah. Darby and Mox versus Stark and Brian Cage. That'll be fun. That fun 10-man tag with the Inner Circle against, Best Friends and Friends, which is just Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Jurassic Express. I think that'll be good. But yeah, a lot of filler this week.
Yeah.
That seems like a sour note to end it on.
Yeah, well,
say something positive.
Well, when you end on AEW, what do you expect?
They got some good stuff. They got some bad stuff. It's WWE. If we would have ended on WWE, we could have ended on a lot of bad things too. Especially if we would have rearranged and just talked about the bar fight and everything. Bar fight wasn't awful. I don't want anybody to.
Wago, you first.
I like my Jericho's non-saggy. I'll just put it that way.
What's the thing that Pritchard always says? Same as yours. That one.
No, yeah. that one. Tony, favorite Mabel match? Clearly, what? Diesel, SummerSlam?
Let's go with one of the Royal Rumbles he was in. That counts, right?
It certainly does.
Well, tell us your favorite Mabel match in the comments section below. Tell us your thoughts on all these other kind of hot tags. Keep the discussion going. And obviously, stay tuned for other things we have coming your way and follow all the other stuff that we've got going on. Rob will tell you a little bit about some of that other kind of stuff that he's got going on. Go ahead.
Yeah, on the Smark Moment channel, I have a Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast with Callum Wiggins. It's really Callum with me because he does a lot of the great work for that. He's awesome, and I think the next episode will be up within a few hours, if it's not up before this. And outside of that, I'm on Fightful.com, I'm on WrestleZone, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. There you go.
All right, you can follow me at Stephen Wago on Twitter. I am coming back to Twitch soon with a new channel along with my wife, and yeah, I'll have more on that in the coming days. I'm getting a new setup, so bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bang, you know what I mean?
All right. Well, that's all that stuff on that end, but I still have a couple little more plugs. Just stay tuned, obviously, to the channel because we've got the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast coming on. But then next week, we're going to move on to whatever else the other main event is going to be. And we've got some ideas of some different things. You know, we keep talking about the idea we might do the AEW tier list for the roster. We might be doing the superstar scores or one more match for Christian. We might do a play of the game. We might do some kind of wrestling with the past. Maybe wrestling is 2020. Check back on the Mount Rushmore if you didn't watch that one already. And stay tuned to potentially the top rope list of NXT stars. Whatever happens, happens. Of course, if you are subscribed to the channel, you'll be aware of when those things go up. But if you just keep clicking on smarkandmama.com and you find all the other kind of things that are happening there, then there's always content coming your way. Pretty much every single day, there's at least a couple different things. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to fanboysanonymous.com. Check out what I've got on the Wrestling News and Bleacher Report. Follow me at Tony Mango. And we will see you next time, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.